Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to our talk one more time, the place where we agree to disagree, if we disagree at all. And my today's guest is from Portugal, João Magalhães. I hope I have pronounced that correctly. We shall see. The topic we have is perseverance. Hello, João.
Hello, René. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I hope I have made at least a good effort to pronounce your name.
Yes, it was perfect. Thank you very much for your effort. It was really good.
And flattery gets you a long way.
No, it was really okay. Thank you very much. My thanks to you.
Okay. Before we hit our topic, I want to say a few things about you, and actually very few things, because when I checked your website, your biography is rather long, many of publications, and I'd rather invite the viewers later after the conversation to visit your website and have a personal view. But obviously, you are full-time committed to Reiki. You are a Reiki teacher, and I got to know you in your profound, I don't want to say commitment, I want to say in your profound love for Reiki. I could also have used the word passion, which maybe we will meet later again. And this is what connects the two of us. You have started Reiki a long time ago, and I think in 2008 you started the Portuguese Reiki Association. You and I met 3-4 years ago at the foundation of the European Reiki Group, where the presentation of you and your wife in Geneva to the ERG, to the European Reiki Group, astonished everyone because of the depth and the broadness of your activities in Portugal. Later, we visited you in Portugal. We, that is then particularly my wife and I, but other people from ERG also. And we were particularly impressed by the programs you did with Reiki and children. But this is not the topic of our conversation today. We are going to speak today about perseverance. Now, João, say a few things about yourself which you would like the viewers to know before we delve into it.
Okay, so I found out that I'm starting to talk even less about myself. So usually I just prefer to say that, okay, I practice Reiki. I like to practice Reiki. And that's just enough for me. So this is a very short introduction, sorry, but that's reality. I practice Reiki. And that's what is really my passion and my love.
And that, of course, is exactly why I corrected myself or why I used the word love earlier on, because in your relationship, from my perception, to Reiki, there's also a degree of humbleness around you, which I fell in love with, which I adore very much. You know, how did we get to talk to perseverance? It is not a topic in the foreground of my mind. If somebody asked me about topics in my life which are important, for example, in relationship to relationships with other people, loyalty is an expression which would come to my mind. But you actually suggested that we speak about perseverance. What made you do so?
Yes, perseverance is something very linear to all relations. So if we think about a friendship, yes, we have the loyalty, and we have agreements and disagreements. But persevering in a friendship is something that it's not very easy, because we change our thoughts, we change the ways we feel. But if we look to ourselves, to our deep selves, and we see something that is very valuable here, then we find what is really important to this perseverance. And that is a kind of a love and a passion. Love and passion, they are interconnected. So, for instance, today we celebrate the Rage Day, or World Rage Day. It's a day about rage. And if we see, rage is something that comes from our our perturbations deeply. So we start to feel very uncomfortable with something, and we don't understand something, and then we may start to feel rage. And if we persevere with that rage, it will bring a lot of damage to ourselves and to others. So I believe that also perseverance is something that should exist with our love and our passion. So it's something very beautiful and something very important. So may perseverance continue in our friendship throughout all time. That's important.
Yeah, you're bringing up something very important, like when you spoke about rage, as in anger, as in boiling up and hatred. That's what you meant with rage. I
Yeah.
didn't know today was Rage Day. That's
Yeah.
all terrible.
Yeah.
Today is the 28th of September, by the way. This may be shown at a much later stage. And you brought something up, sometimes perseverance and stubbornness, what's the difference? They're sometimes very close, aren't they? You can persevere your own ideas, but I believe one has still to be flexible, fluent in the process of life, because life manifests itself in many ways. So I may have certain ideas, certain goals, but they can, I must be careful that I don't pursue them in a stubborn kind of way. We jumped into the subject beautifully already. I had planned to talk about different things, like what is perseverance? What does it mean in a day-to-day, in a personal relationship way? I don't, a personal relationship to oneself, not necessarily to another person. But already from what you said, it becomes apparent that there is somewhere we go to. There is something to pursue. There is a dream, a vision. So I would like to speak about the vision aspect behind perseverance, or should I say in front of perseverance. And I also want to speak about the challenges, the failure, the opposition we face on this path to pursue our vision. That's approximately, but we don't need to stick to a plan or a chronology. This is pretty much what I had prepared in my mind. Should we speak a little bit about, actually, I have prepared a small video. I want to show this because it picks up where maybe we are already touching upon. Let's see. I'll bring the screen on for us, and I'll try and work this.
In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality.
And make that future reality, she says, and she's talking about exactly passion, which would also have been one of my words on the top 10 list, and loyalty, but we chose perseverance. What did you think about what she just said? This was Angela Duckworth, a professor in psychology, and she has studied very broadly, particularly focusing on education, trying to help people to be successful in life. And she studied different fields, from the military to medical fields. And she found what she's saying here, that it's often not intelligence, but actually perseverance, or what she calls grit, in combination with passion, which brings people somewhere. What do you say to that?
Well, I agree absolutely, because I see this perseverance in my case as flexibility as a bamboo and strength as an inner mountain. So in my life and these last 10 years, at least 15 years or 20 years, I've seen that perseverance, it's very much important. And to achieve so, you must have a mission. You must have a vision, and you persevere if you understand your mission and your vision. So that's really important, and having the energy to do so. And for that, it's much important to understand that if I want to achieve something, that something will depend on my energy. I can have other people involved, but if I don't put my energy in what I do, I will not achieve the result that I want. So perseverance is also the understanding, the clear understanding of our mission and our vision in what we do. Knowing, of course, that nothing is permanent and everything is in change. So we have seen that with this COVID situation. So if I have not persevered in what I thought it was correct, I should have stopped everything. So perseverance is really something very important to us, remembering our mission and our vision.
Well, what do you mean, if I hadn't remembered what is right, I would have had to stop? I don't get this.
Yes. Well, in these times of the pandemics here in Portugal, we had ceased activity, physical activity for 3 months. So we stopped all our incoming, for instance. And what I saw, it was that many people need still help. And we, and I personally, had to help in the way I could. So I may say that in 3 months that I was at home, I worked more than if I was just working normally in my day-to-day before the pandemic and the confinement.
You know, you used the term mission and vision. And to me, they are not interchangeable at all. They're quite clearly two quite different things. So I'm not. I see that maybe a little bit different. And vision is to me, you know, very often John F. Kennedy's statement in the 1961 or 62. I want to have a man on the moon within a decade and return himself safely, is often, and of course, as we all know, that then was achieved. That is often shown as a vision statement. I disagree with that. This is just a mission. This is just a goal to achieve, which I can measure. And then when I've reached it, it's done. I shrug my shoulders. And this is, of course, exactly what happened to NASA, that they were focusing on that one goal and they achieved it. And at the end, what was the purpose of all this? And that's where the question of the vision comes into it. So the vision is something much bigger, and one of the frustrations of vision is it's not countable, it's not grabbable in my estimation, in my understanding of it. It's like a shining star at the horizon, which gives us direction, and gives us purpose, but we may never actually reach it. On the way to that ultimate goal, or ultimate vision, rather, there may be intermediary goal, steps by step, like landing on the moon for NASA, or something like that. What do you agree with that? Do you have a different view? And what is your personal vision in this?
Yes, I agree with you. And for me, my vision is also something like that. So it's something very far away. It's really like that star, or like a sun, and it's something that also guides me. It's like the star that guided the three mages that went to Jesus' birth, for instance, just as an allegory. So it's something very far, but I know that it has a deep and profound importance to me.
Yeah, and how do you know it's not just an illusion? I love the politicians who say we need to be realistic. People with a vision, they should go to an asylum, they need a psychiatrist, that kind of thing. Oh, a beautiful graffiti I recently saw which says, dear realists, dear pessimists, dear optimists, while you were arguing about the glass of water, I was drinking it. Thank you, yours, your opportunist.
Well, for me, a vision, well, it may be a delusion also. I don't know, but it's something very, very strong in me that I feel, and I feel it since I was very little. So sometimes we question ourselves, what is my role here in life? And I understand that my role is something that we have inside ourselves since we were born. So this kind of vision is like that kind of shining light that guides me throughout my life. And through that light, I see my mission. So that vision enlightens my mission.
Yeah. So, what would you? Can you put your vision, your personal vision, this raison d'être, this deep-rooted meaning, the purpose of why I'm here? Can you put this in words? I feel this is a very, very important aspect of life, actually in an entirely different context. Recently, I spoke to somebody on the topic of integrity and commitment. And, there are laws and regulations which we need to follow in pandemic times, in traffic, and so on. And yet there's something like civil disobedience, where you need to do the right thing according to your own inner compass. So what you just said resonated very much with this inner compass, with this integrity question, with this being loyal, truthful to yourself. Can you name your vision easily in a sentence?
Yes, for me, it's becoming a good person. It's something that you can say, but that can be measurable. But I don't know, because only at the end of my life I could have that kind of full experience of, was I a good person or not? Have I achieved my vision or not? But that's the light for me. So becoming a good person. becoming a good human being?
Yeah, then the question comes up, what does that mean? What is a good human being? Recently, I was criticized, actually, two occasions which come to my mind. In one case, my integrity, particularly as a journalist, was questioned. And in one other case, my perseverance to stay with a project and not leave it prematurely at the first little difficulty and drop things was challenged. And I found it very difficult to, particularly the first question about my integrity, to stand up and respond to that, because whose authority is the judge over whether I am following my integrity or not? Who knows that I am persistently pursuing a declared vision other than my inner self? So that creates, of course, conflicts in friendships. People feel disappointed and that kind of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I think I have an idea, and I think that you are a very balanced person. So in those two situations, of course, you have thought about it and you have feel it, but knowing you the best way that I can, I think that you go through it the best balanced way that you can. So I feel that you are not a stubborn person, or that you wish to go out in anything that goes against your ideas, or that you just don't do right your work. No, I think that you are a very balanced person, a very centered person in the good sense of the word. And when things come up, you are the best judge of yourself. You go deep to yourself and you have a talk. I remember you saying, and this image continues with me constantly, that I'm seeing you in a mountain and you are sculpting a rock, turning that rock into a ball. And I see it a lot, and it's something that is carrying with me. And in all these questions, I see you sculpting that ball through these rocks.
I feel great with what you say. And of course, this isn't about me as a person per se. I'm using my challenges to illustrate a bigger question, and also inviting my guest to reflect on his life, where he has been. But I'm glad you said that. So I will conserve this recording very carefully. So next time somebody is criticizing me, I'll send them a copy of this. But you used the picture of this piece of granite. I want to explain this because it's a beautiful metaphor for a perseverance. I was in a course in the mountains with a man who teaches people to make a round ball, a symmetrical, perfectly round ball out of a piece of rock, granite actually. And all you need is actually using a little hammer with a steel tip. The secret is that you persevere in hammering this. So I had, for this particular rock, which ended up like a fist, the size of a fist, I had about 4, maybe 4.5 hours. And I think it's about 10,000 times that I actually hammered, not strongly, just a little bit, chipped it away, and you turn that piece over and over and over. You hold it against the light, and you continue. So I think the ball in this is like the vision, and the activity is like the perseverance in pursuing something. Still, the question of frustrated disappointments in others needs to be communicated. And I think that at the end of the day, only when the ball is finished, you can hope that it is seen by others as a relief of their frustration when their expectation is healed. I think very often there's no point in trying to explain why you're chipping away on a piece of rock, why you're pursuing a vision, because it is your personal vision.
Yes, and I also went through those kind of difficulties and situations. So I can say that every week I prepare myself with those kind of situations that someone says that, well, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not doing the good enough, or doing the things right, or that put to test to me my kind of vision and mission. And it's always a time that I start looking to myself and to the situation and contemplate a little bit about it. And it's not easy at all. I think it's not easy. So when we constantly have something challenging our perseverance, and that's when I start thinking, am I being stubborn? So that's the word you have used at the beginning. And most of the cases I see, no, I'm not being stubborn. I must do what is right. So I have always 5 seeds that I carry so that I can judge correctly what I'm doing. And those seeds are the 5 principles of Reiki.
Yes. And I agree with you. And in fact, I think that just to follow them, not to me, the reciting of them is not the key. To me, actually internalizing what they say and living by them. And the essence of, to me, of the 5 Reiki principles is actually one of self-responsibility. And to me, they're just guides and helps to come back, like to come back to in contact with that inner compass. What do you think about that?
Absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So reciting principles, it's nothing. It's just saying words. So we must live them. We must feel them in our life and put them in practice. And that's the best way to see if something is working or not. So I agree completely with you.
Do you have an example of daily life where perseverance is, or the other way around, where the 5 principles help you to reconnect with your vision, with your inner true self, and then persevere, continuing doing against all odds and against maybe all the naysayers in the world, the people who say it's not possible, you can't do that, and so on.
Yes, for instance, I have started a project. It's about Buddhism, but it's a project, and that project will go out tomorrow in the format of a magazine. So I started this project some years ago, and I tried to make it with partnerships. So I wish to work with other people, but nothing went through when I tried to work with other people. So I thought, maybe this is not the right way. And when I started working on that project by myself, using my own energy on it, it started moving and it started to work. So in this, I use also the concepts of the Reiki principles to help my perseverance and to balance what I think it's right or wrong. And for instance, when I stopped at the moment that I thought, am I going to publish this magazine or not? Okay, I'm going to invite one person that I think it's special for this magazine. And if this person accepts it, okay, I will publish it. So I'm not putting the responsibility on that person, but it was something like, okay, let me try this way. And okay, that person immediately said, yes, okay, I'm going to write to it. But the most interesting it was that we are now at the end day, and I haven't received the text from that person. So I have all the magazine with all the interviews and contents and etc., but not with the person which I started in the beginning. But I think that this is a part also of life, and it's no problem at all. It's like what it is. So the importance here is perseverance, right? Perseverance in the right thing to do.
Yes, and unfortunately, we are already at the end of our talk today, because now we would come to a really interesting topic, and that is failure. Because perseverance, is easy if you're motivated highly by an original idea and you're jumping off full of passion and carefreeness. But when the proverbial hits the fan, when the difficulties arise, and when, of course, also the goals you've set on the way to the ultimate vision, when you failed. So failure will be maybe my next topic to talk about in a few months' time. That would be lovely. A very interesting topic, of course. Just for me to finish off, and then I would like to give you a chance to round it all up. To me, the most important aspect of the 5 principles, and that has to do with perseverance, is the first preliminary sentence, which is just for today. Sometimes we have such great visions, and they're so great that we're actually doomed to fail. Yet, if I say, I want to be a better human being, like you said, and I hope, I wish you that you can absorb it when people like me, and I know many others, say to João, you are a good person. But when we pursue this, and for me, if I had to put my vision into words, it has to actually play a role in making this world a better place. There is even a German word for that. Do-gooder would be the loose translation, but the literal translation is to improve the world. And if I want to improve the world and I look at COVID, I look out of the window, I might as well go back to bed. But if I remember, just today I make an effort. Tomorrow I have a new chance. Today I can try, do my best, even fail, and then I have another go tomorrow. So to me, the just for today. And in that sense, I want to come to an end from my part. Dear viewers, at the bottom, I will one more time include the ticker with João's website. You will find all that also on YouTube and on our website also. João, tell me, how do you feel now after our conversation?
Well, very well. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I think it was really important to raise up all these questions. And we stopped on a very interesting point, the failure and the statement just for today. So I think it's a very good reminder. When failure approaches, just for today, just for today. And so let's persevere, of course, and just for today, also with our friendship. So thank you so much, René. You're really amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. I return the compliment to you. I say goodbye to you, João, for the moment. Bye-bye, and thank you for having joined us.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Dear viewers, I hope you will subscribe to our channel and you will put your name down for future art talks for the information. And I say goodbye to you too.